Hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. Over the next few minutes, we'll take you from the United States and around the world, covering all the top stories of the day. But before that, here's a look at the latest headlines. A Russia-bound Azerbaijan Airlines plane carrying 67 passengers crashes in southwestern Kazakhstan. The aircraft was diverted due to intense fog, and Kazakhstan says there are, however, 28 survivors. Russia fires over 70 missiles and 100 attack drones at Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Kyiv condemns Moscow's heartless attack on Christmas Day. A loud explosion rattles buildings in Tel Aviv as Israel says it intercepted a projectile fired from Yemen. The Iran-backed Houthis say they launched another hypersonic ballistic missile at Tel Aviv, the fourth in just 1 week. Armed men kill at least 3 and leave several wounded in Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince. People had gathered for the reopening of Haiti's largest public health hospital, which was forced to close down by gangs earlier this year. And NASA astronauts, including Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, celebrate Christmas aboard the International Space Station. Williams and Butchmore have been stuck in space since June. We begin in Europe, where Denmark has announced its plans to boost defenses for Greenland, an island that's dominating headlines this week. Denmark's defense minister said the country will invest $1.5 billion to bolster resources. He also added that the package would allow the purchase of 2 long-range drones, 2 patrol boats, and 2 teams of sled dogs for deployment in Greenland.
For many years, we have not invested enough in the Arctic. Now we are planning a stronger presence. It is ironic that it coincides with the announcement from the United States.
Now, the announcement comes after President-elect Donald Trump suggested that the United States should buy the world's largest island. On Monday, the incoming president posted on Truth Social that Greenland's ownership is extremely crucial to America.
For purposes of national security and freedom throughout the world, the United States of America feels that the ownership and control of Greenland is an absolute necessity.
And not just Greenland, but Donald Trump has also threatened to take back the Panama Canal and make Canada the 51st state of the United States. Moreover, the incoming president's son, Eric Trump, posted a picture on X where his father was shown ordering Greenland, the Panama Canal, and Canada on Amazon. The post quickly went viral on X with nearly 10 million views in just a single day. Meanwhile, Greenland's Prime Minister said that the island of 56,000 people is not up for sale.
Greenland is ours. We are not for sale and will never be for sale. We must not lose our long struggle for freedom.
Now, however, experts say Denmark's plan to bolster Greenland's defenses should not be seen as a direct response to Trump's comments. Reportedly, the plan has actually been under discussion for a long time as Denmark has been slow to expand its military capabilities in the region. The Nordic nation has also failed to protect waters around Greenland against China and Russia's encroachments.
As an important stakeholder in Arctic affairs, China has been participating in Arctic affairs in line with the basic principle of respecting win-win cooperation and sustainable development, and has strengthened cooperation with other parties to uphold peace and stability in the Arctic and promote sustainable development in the region. The U.S. has misinterpreted China's Arctic policy and made irresponsible remarks on China's normal Arctic activities in accordance with international law, which is not conducive to peace, stability, and cooperation in the Arctic. China is firmly opposed to that.
Now, notably, Greenland sits between the Arctic and the Atlantic Oceans, and it's an autonomous territory that has been part of the Kingdom of Denmark for more than 600 years. However, Greenland's capital city, Nuuk, is closer to New York than the Danish capital, Copenhagen. The island boasts minerals, oil, and natural resources and is home to a crucial air base of the U.S. military. Donald Trump originally proposed to acquire Greenland during his first term. However, his idea led to a sharp rebuke from the island's leaders. And here in the United States, Ford, General Motors, and Toyota will donate $1 million each to Donald Trump's inauguration in January. The two American and Japanese automakers will also provide vehicles for the swearing in. The announcement comes just a week after the president-elect said that he would roll back President Joe Biden's electric vehicle mandate. The regulation, which was signed by President Biden in March this year, remains one of the most significant climate regulations in the nation's history. It ensures that automakers only produce hybrid or fully electric vehicles by 2032 in a bid to reduce high carbon emissions that are linked to gas-powered vehicles. The standards would have reduced the fuel cost for average Americans by at least $6,000 per year. President Biden's EV mandate, which Donald Trump now wants to roll back, would also have cut America's emissions by half by the end of this decade. However, several automakers, including Ford and General Motors, oppose President Biden's EV policies and have welcomed Donald Trump's plan to slash the mandate. Throughout his electoral campaign, the Republican maintained that he was against the mandatory enforcement of replacing gas-powered vehicles with electric cars.
I'm not making any final decisions on it. I'm a big fan of electric cars, but I'm a fan of gasoline-propelled cars and also hybrids and whatever else happens to come along. And you can't mandate that you can only buy an electric car. You know, for this country to build charging stations all throughout the nation will cost anywhere from $3 to $5 trillion. No country has enough money to do that.
Now, rolling back President Biden's EV mandate would hurt several electric automakers, including Tesla, which is owned by Donald Trump's closest ally, Elon Musk. Tesla, however, remains the #1 EV manufacturer in the United States and dominates the electric market with nearly 50% of all new car sales. Now, despite being the closest of allies, Donald Trump said that the mandate unfairly gives an advantage to electric car makers, including Tesla.
And I'm a big fan of electric cars, but it's going to be a smaller, much smaller market. They don't go far enough and they're very expensive. So what I would do is very strongly, I would rescind the mandate because the mandate is ridiculous. People want to buy a gasoline-powered car, propelled car. If they want to do that, I think they should. If they want to buy a hybrid, they should be able to buy a hybrid. And what they've done is they're going to destroy our automobile industry. And I am a big fan of electric. I'm a big fan of Elon and other people involved in the electric car.
Now, it's not just automobile manufacturers that are donating millions to the president's inauguration. Tech firms, including Amazon, Meta, and OpenAI, are also donating $1 million each for the ceremony. Conglomerates that once openly backed Vice President Kamala Harris are also supporting Donald Trump's inauguration as well. And in South America, authorities in Brazil have halted the construction of a factory for Chinese electric vehicle giant Build Your Dreams, or BYD. Brazilian officials rescued more than 160 workers living in the factory in slave-like conditions. The incident took place in Brazil's northeast, where BYD has been building its first electric vehicle plant outside Asia. The workers were brought from China by a third-party firm supported by the Chinese government.
We found that the work of these 163 workers was carried out in slavery-like conditions. Minimum safety conditions were not being met in the work environment. The conditions found in the lodgings revealed an alarming picture of precariousness and degradation.
Now, according to Brazilian authorities, the workers were forced to work excessive hours 7 days a week. They were forced to sleep on beds without mattresses, and the bathrooms lacked toilet paper and water. Moreover, only one bathroom was assigned per 30 workers, prompting them to wake up at 4 a.m. just to get ready for work. No cabinets or kitchen space were provided, forcing the workers to keep their food in unsanitary conditions.
All the accommodations shared serious infrastructure and hygiene problems. The bathrooms, in addition to being insufficient, were not separated by sex, did not have adequate toilet seats, and presented poor hygiene conditions. The lack of a suitable place to wash clothes led workers to use their own bathrooms for this purpose.
Now, according to Brazil's labor prosecutors, more than 100 workers had their passports and salaries withheld and had to ask permission just to leave the facility.
In addition to the degrading conditions, the situation constitutes forced labor due to several indicators found during the inspections. The workers were required to pay a deposit, had 60% of their wages withheld, faced excessive costs for terminating their contracts, and had their passports withheld by the company. Early termination of the contract implied the loss of the deposit and the amounts withheld, in addition to the obligation to pay for the return ticket and reimburse the cost of the outward ticket.
Responding to the latest incident, Chinese EV maker BYD says that it does not tolerate the disrespect of Brazilian law and human dignity. The EV giant added that it has terminated the contract with the construction firm and that all workers have been transferred to hotels. Now, globally, BYD continues to dominate the EV market and has even outsold billionaire Elon Musk's Tesla. However, the Chinese firm is under the radar in multiple countries, including Brazil and India, for multiple labor law violations as well as tax evasion. And in Europe, Italy's billion-dollar plan to process asylum seekers in Albania has turned into a fiasco. With empty facilities, stranded police officers, and mounting public outrage, the scheme has fallen apart amid skyrocketing costs. Migrants spent mere hours in Albania before being sent back to Italy due to a court ruling, leaving five-star hotels and detention centers occupied by stray dogs. Critics have slammed the project as a waste of taxpayer money. And the question now, will Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's credibility take a hit? Our next report brings you more on the unfolding controversy.
Back in June, when Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni visited the construction site of the Italian-run migrant center in Shenzhen, Albania, she promised that the asylum plan will be so successful that eventually it could become a part of the structural solution of the European Union.
The jurisdiction of these centers will be Italian. The staff that will operate inside will be Italian. Public order inside the centers will be ensured by the Italian police, while the Albanian government ensures cooperation with its police forces for security and external surveillance of the facility. Then we will have inaugurated a completely new phase in the management of the migration problem. The agreement could be replicated in many countries. It could become a part of the structural solution of the European Union.
However, 3 months after the asylum opened in October, it has unwinded into a costly embarrassment, sparking outrage and ridicule.
We have a number of key concerns about the Italy-Albania deal. First of all, it risks jeopardizing the universally recognized human right to seek asylum, irrespective of which country one arrives from and how one arrives in Europe.
The project, which was once lauded by the European Commission as a model solution for handling migrants outside the EU, is now in a limbo, with empty facilities, legal hurdles, and mounting criticism over its expense.
So we're very concerned to have heard the Commission President von der Leyen this week indicating that lessons should be drawn from this Italy-Albania deal for the EU more broadly. We do not think this ought to in any way become a blueprint for other member states offshoring asylum responsibilities. She also indicated that this could bring lessons to the so-called return hubs that the EU is looking to develop, which we believe would be a step in the absolute wrong direction.
Shedding more light on this controversy were undercover Albanian journalists who revealed an unsettling reality.
We came here for work. We are the security for the migrant center, but there are no migrants in the facilities. They have been transferred to Italy. It's just us here. We are paid to act as tourists. Breakfast, dinner, and sauna, all free. The Italian government pays.
Since the asylum's opening in October, only 24 migrants have reached Albania, and their stays were fleeting. 5 left within 12 hours, while the rest remained for just over 2 days. Italian judges citing international law ruled it illegal to hold intercepted migrants in Albania before repatriating them to safe countries like Bangladesh and Egypt, and this decision effectively halted the project. Another detention center in Jeddah has been repurposed as an informal dog shelter. Stray dogs, cared for by 15 prison officers stationed there, now occupy the facilities.
The prison officers have attended the dogs' needs with love and patience, ensuring them food, water, daily medical care, and above all, a safe and affectionate environment.
The deal, costing €1 billion or over $1,040,000, has become a political nightmare for Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Opposition parties have denounced it as a complete failure and a financial disaster.
Don't touch me. How dare you? Prime Minister, nice stuff that's happening. At least we have that left, Prime Minister. You've been playing the victims for an hour without answering a single question about how this center will work.
We brought Italian and European legislation here. Aren't you an MP from Plus Europa? Didn't you want more Europe?
This tells us what is going to happen. If this happens on camera, to an MP, you can imagine what will happen to those poor people who will be locked in here.
Meloni remains defiant, vowing to make the migrant centers operational even if it requires her involvement. However, her credibility is under fire. Immigration has been a central issue for her government, which criticized previous administrations for overspending on migration. As Italy scrambles to revise the plan, public confidence is waning. The Albania deal, intended as a bold solution, now serves as a cautionary tale of political overreach, wasteful spending, and flawed execution. Whether it can be salvaged remains uncertain, but its failures are already etched into Italy's migration policy history.
And finally, from Latin America, Argentina's President Javier Milei has announced a bold and extensive plan to establish more nuclear plants in the country. The chainsaw-wielding president wants the new plants to incorporate artificial intelligence and make Argentina a nuclear pioneer. The far-right leader says he's secured American funding for the project after meeting President-elect Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk. We'll bring you more about Milei's ambitious nuclear strategy.
Under President Javier Milei, Argentina remains on a path toward reform. The chainsaw-wielding right-wing leader has promised to transform the Latin American nation. Plagued with skyrocketing inflation and high unemployment rates for years, Milei has been quick to push through with his policies. Despite protests, Milei has slashed funding for several government agencies and public institutions. And his tactics have worked. After decades, Argentina's inflation is at a 4-year low, and locals are optimistic about the economy. But Milei has his eyes on a new project: nuclear plants. Milei wants to incorporate nuclear energy into Argentina's ambitions. Last week, he announced the Argentine Nuclear Plan, an initiative that would include the construction of small reactors that would also leverage the strength of artificial intelligence. Milei says the AI-based nuclear plants would be needed to support the rising demand for electricity amid a worldwide AI boom. Milei added that nuclear energy is vital to boost the advancement of AI technologies.
The potential for development in artificial intelligence is so immense that conventional energy will not be enough to supply this new demand, which is why we are convinced that a resurgence of nuclear energy will occur throughout the world. Because despite the countless campaigns of discredit that some international foundations have mounted, nuclear energy is the only source that is sufficiently efficient, abundant, and rapidly scalable to cope with the development of our civilization.
However, Argentina will not be undertaking this ambitious project alone. Milei has requested the United States to invest in Argentina, including in nuclear energy projects.
Basically, I have to tell you that we will indeed move forward with a free trade agreement with the United States. Just yesterday and today, it was reaffirmed by the spokesperson of the President-elect of the United States, Donald Trump, that we will work to achieve a free trade agreement with the United States.
Milei is hoping that with Donald Trump in the White House, relations between Washington and Buenos Aires will rise exponentially. Milei not only has a good rapport with Donald Trump, but even the president-elect's closest ally, Elon Musk. Milei was the first international leader to meet Trump after the US election, and he's also likely to attend the inauguration in January. The two world leaders, joined by Elon Musk, have already dined together multiple times. With Elon Musk pushing for AI with his firm xAI, Argentina could play a major role by supporting Musk with nuclear-generated power that would enable xAI's quantum AI computing growth. Milei plans to inaugurate the AI-centric nuclear plant in Argentina by 2030, and the United Nations nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency, has already given Milei the green light. The AI-leveraged project will utilize Argentine technology and will also aim to develop uranium reserves for domestic use and export. Currently, Argentina has 3 nuclear reactors, with 2 in Atucha and 1 in Embalse, and they generate between 7 to 10% of the country's electricity. A 4th reactor has been in the works in a joint project with China, but it has been stalled since 2022 and is on the verge of being terminated after Milei came to power and switched Argentina's foreign policy with a major tilt towards the United States. Milei says that after decades of decline, Argentina will make a triumphant return to the global landscape by becoming a nuclear energy pioneer. Milei plans to feed the AI-linked demand for energy by incorporating AI technology in nuclear plants. Will Milei's ambitious plans bear fruit, or will the Argentine president face roadblocks even before AI enters the nuclear arena?
That's all we have time for today. We certainly thank you all for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching. Donald Trump's return to the Oval Office is imminent. He will soon take the oath of office and once again lead the nation.
God spared my life for a reason.
President-elect Donald Trump's first priority: tackling illegal immigration and securing the nation's borders.
We're going to fix our borders.
The incoming administration has prioritized the Russia-Ukraine war. Can they succeed in ending one of the world's most challenging conflicts?
I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled.
And as he returns to the White House, will Donald Trump resume a bruising trade war with the world's second largest economy, China?
If China or some other country is behaving badly, we have things called tariffs.
All of this and more right here on Firstpost America.